Hello and welcome to an edition of Moments with Mindleaps. I'm so pleased to welcome you back again. Many of you are following us every week on Fridays. So thank you so much for coming again. And today we have a really exciting guest. Hope Easterbrook is going to be joining us. So my name is Rebecca Davis. I'm the executive director of Mindleaps. And what I like to say every Friday is I'm now doing my most favorite part of my job at Mindleaps, which is interviewing some of the most exciting creatives, artists, dancers, researchers around the world and learning from them about the strategies they're using to survive during COVID, but also what they're doing to build their communities abroad, at home, internationally, virtually. All sorts of new communities are being built right now. And here comes our wonderful special guest. Somehow she's fitting us in with all of her other busy interviews this time. Oh my goodness, there she is. Oh, you look beautiful, Hope. Thank you so much for fitting us in, Hope. To all of our guests, this is Hope Easterbrook. She doesn't really need an introduction, but it's still my job to introduce her. Hope is famous for being part of the original cast of Hamilton, which I think I can safely say, Hope, is everybody's favorite musical. You probably can't say that, but I can say that. But Hope is also a dancer who's danced with many different companies, is versed in all styles of dance. I first got to take her class, her hip hop class at Alvin Ailey's. We're really glad that there was no camera on when I was trying that class, Hope, but I do appreciate your patience teaching me hip hop. And now she's gone on to start her own organization called Dance4Hope, which she's going to tell us more about today, in addition to all of her professional experiences that take her across the stages when it's not COVID. So thank you for joining us, Hope.
Thank you for having me, Rebecca.
Our community around the world is already joining us. Guinea, Rwanda, Uganda.
Emmy, Sita. Hi, you guys.
Oh my goodness, what a following. Hope, one of the things that we've spoken a lot about, and I think it's something that really builds our Mindleaps family really tight, even during difficult times, is this idea that the arts and creativity keep going. They keep pushing forward, they keep adjusting. It doesn't kind of matter what space, what world you find yourself in. It's something that can't really be taken away from you.
Right.
I know that there's different ways that the arts and dance have come into your life, but share with us a little bit about how the power of the arts have driven you to this enormous career.
Dance and art saved my life, to put it boldly. I remember distinctly a moment in my life. I was in high school and my mother was diagnosed with cancer. And I was spending a lot of time in the hospital and around a lot of sad things. And the studio and dance was like my one place where I didn't have to think about the real world, right? And I could just release all that tension and stress and anxiety through my movement. And I think that at the time I never realized how important I was studying at the school at Steps at the time. And I didn't at the time realize how big of an impact that had on me to have that kind of outlet until after the fact, where, now I look back at that time and I think to myself, wow, what would I have done without Steps? Where would have that anger or that kind of stress, how would I have taken that out? And to know that I had that safe space where I could go see my friends, be with these incredible teachers and forget about all of that and really just invest in that time for my dance, for my artistry. That really meant the world to me.
I love what you say about it being a safe space. And now the term is kind of used around the world with NGOs and international development, and I think everyone imagines it's I don't know, some tent with a sign that says safe space and this is where you're supposed to go if you have a problem.
Right.
But I think the way actually you describe it right now is really what I wish the world understood a safe space to be. Is it's really where you go in and you invest in yourself. and
Mm-hmm.
everything else disappears except you and your time to heal. And it's something that now I think many of us need even more. And it's still there, and it's good to be reminded of that.
Yeah, even, during COVID, there's a lot of time by yourself and with your own thoughts and all of that. And I catch myself, I mean, every day I dance, obviously, but sometimes I just put my music on and I just dance in my living room just so that all of that anxiety, like all of that just goes away. Like it's kind of it's like a miracle drug. It's like something that is like, you can't even describe it.
Yeah, it's like, and not only is it a miracle drug, but it's something that can be disseminated around the world quite easily. You don't even need to like have some like FDA approval and going
Yeah,
to the pharmacy.
right.
So I think you're right, and I think also like, so I'm so glad that so many of our mining students are already tuning in, because they also should be reminded of that from you, one of their favorite teachers, that they have that and they still have that power, no matter if they're not at their typical Mindleap center, but wherever they are, they have that safe space with them
Yeah.
because of their hearts.
Yeah, it's very empowering. It's very empowering to know, to go through a long day of whether I'm all day on Zoom, nowadays, I'm sure like all day on Zoom, and it's so exhausting, so mentally draining. I know that at the end of the day, I can just, turn my lights off and just let all of that out, all of that pent up emotion. So like that is so empowering to me that I can do that. And I have the privilege of doing that, right? Like it's a privilege to move. It's a privilege to have legs that move and, all of that. So I really don't take that for granted, like any day.
It's so cool the way you phrase it, Hope, because a lot of times I think people look at our stars and they're like, oh, dance for you is about the stage. It's about people like watching you. It's about the cameras. But actually, like what you're describing is it's actually the opposite, right? That's when you turn the Zoom off, like,
Yeah,
and you
it's for
still
me.
have that thing.
Yeah.
Uh, so tell us, like, with this career that you've built from Hamilton to now working inside studios, from the professional dance experiences, all of the training, like, how do you connect some of those moments that you've had in your life with things you've been a part of, things you're building, with this idea that, there's also an equality that comes through this art form?
Yeah. Um, None of it would have happened without Hamilton, as far as me understanding my platform and my voice. I had an idea of it beforehand, but I didn't really understand the power of it until I entered that space and I saw these other artists doing the same, doing something like that, using their platform, using their voices for activism and all of this. And, I had to take a mirror to myself and say, you can do that too. And you should be empowered by that. And I'm empowered by people like you. I mean, that you are, someone that I know Lamar, of course, a good friend. And I looked at this company, Mindleaps, and I thought I have to be a part of this. Like it speaks to my soul. Like your mission speaks to my soul. And without my connection to you, like I never would have gone on to create Dance4Hope. And Dance4Hope is such a huge part of now my identity, because I want to make it my mission to use my privilege to give back, because that's all I can do, you know?
It's so interesting, Hope, to hear you talk about how like one experience in your life, like Hamilton, like shows you the power you have, and then how then you connections that might be there, then you put together and you see like, oh, actually this is the next step, and then it leads you to giving creation to something that adds to this entire world of power and harnessing what the arts can do. It's a really beautiful way that you connect all of those pieces for us. And we're very lucky that Mindleaps has been a part of this journey. I'm sure, Hope, you would have somehow ended up with Dance4Hope without us, but we were really happy that that you included us on this really interesting journey that you're taking. And for those of you who don't know, Hope joined us in Rwanda 2 years ago when we did something quite different for Mindleaps. We brought together our top youth trainers, so very young dance teachers, ages 16 to 22 who are in their own countries, struggling with their own issues, but really have the passion and enthusiasm to work with others. And we took all of those talented youth and put them in Rwanda, and then thought, like, how can we bring top teachers, top dancers from the US and from other countries to come work with these youth? And once Douglas was chosen from Uganda and put in this training group, then we needed a hip hop teacher. And then Lamar and I were like, the only option here is Hope. We were so excited when you said yes. And then that's when I was like, I better go take this class at Elise.
Yeah.
Tell us, what was it like when you landed in Rwanda for us? And then we said, here are some youth trainers, you know, do your magic, Hope.
Well, it's funny, Rebecca. I know, that you have weeks of training for these staff that go out there and work at the center. And I was lucky enough you had an opening, you know, for this program. And I was like, absolutely, yes. You know, like I said yes without even looking at my schedule kind of thing. Cause I knew like, this is 3 years, that was 3 years in the making, you know, like yeah. I had emailed you 3 years ago prior to 2018 being like, I need to be a part of Mindleaps. I need to, you know, anything like that. So you came to my class and I think I left the next day. Like you literally just, I think you handed me like, you handed me a couple of things. I remember telling my sister, you know, my sister's a huge, we're both like ballet nerds, you know, like we follow all these like ballet accounts and whatnot. But I remember you gave me Misty Copeland's leotards, like a luggage, you know, a bunch of leotards to bring to Rwanda. And I remember, you know, coming home and telling my sister, so I have Misty Copeland's leotards. I'm just going to bring them to Rwanda for these children that are going to change their, like dance is going to change their lives, you know? And I went out there and again, like you don't know what to expect. Like there's really no amount of training I feel like I could have gotten without being in it. But I remember like there's a picture that was taken, but it was like right off the airport. I was driven to the center. And at the time, I think they were doing an African class. And that was the group of students that I was going to teach. And I was just sitting there like watching this class. And I was just getting so excited. Like it was almost like the next day was Christmas. I like couldn't sleep. I was so excited to work with this group of youth, of young trainers. And I think that was such a cool experience because they wanted to help, you know, like because they're the trainers, they have a lot of the similarities that I have, which is that want and need to help the younger generation. And the incentive was there for them. And so mind you, I was taking all the African classes. I was taking Kenna's class. Like I couldn't get enough of it. I was in the classes with the trainers, and then I was also teaching my classes. And it was like the best 2 weeks of my life because I just was dancing all day with some incredible artists. And then I got to go home and spend more time with them and learn about their cultures and learn about their you know, them as a person. And it was so incredible. Words can't even describe how life-changing.
Thank you so much for saying something that I think is so special about these trainers that you worked with, is that these trainers, they're really young, but they already have in their minds, like, I'm giving back to my community. Yeah. And thank you for highlighting that. I think sometimes, you know, we're thinking, oh, we're teaching others, but actually we're teaching the teachers who are already motivated to do this next layer of work. And it's so beautiful to hear you reflect that and notice that. And I have to tell you, since you've left Hope over the last 2 years, every time I travel anywhere that is one of the communities where these trainers work now, there's your choreography always shows up. And I don't know if they're allowed to do that or not, but every time I show up, I'm like, isn't that Hope's choreography? And there's all these new kids doing that same combination. So you have built like an international dance.
I love that. That warms my heart.
One day we'll feed all of it together, and you won't believe how many.
Well, one day I'm going to be back and I'm going to teach. I would love to do like a piece. I want to do like a full. I just want to go back. Let me go back. Let COVID be over so I can go back to Rwanda.
Oh my goodness, that would warm everyone's heart on this thread here. Hope, transition us back a little bit to your life now. I know you're really busy with Dance for Hope. I know you're very busy online doing a lot of new things with this same idea of how can we like raise the issues of awareness and justice and use this powerful tool that we love so much to strengthen the movements that are so important in the world right now. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing in COVID, but to carry these fights forward.
Yeah. Well, as far as Dance for Hope and its sort of origins, it comes from you and from Mindleaps and me understanding, you know, I look at you and I think you are just such a boss, you know, and I remember coming back from Mindleaps from back to the States, and I was really sad. I was really sad because being out there and getting to share with these young people this, I really understood the power of dance when I was out there. I understood and saw for myself the power that dance had in these young people's lives. And I came back and I said, how do I like recreate that in my life? Like how do I find that again? Because it's so, I come back to a world where I'm auditioning every day and I'm saying, hey, look at me, like cast me. And it felt very selfish. And I didn't feel like I was fulfilling my purpose the way that I felt like I was fulfilling my purpose in Africa. And at the time there was a huge immigration crisis. It's obviously still going on, but very, very newsworthy at the time, but children being separated from their families. And I had been in contact with someone that was working with these youth, and that was like my light bulb went off. And I was just like, this is my opportunity to offer this population, this underserved population, a safe space, right? For artistic growth. And my head was going like a million times per minute, right? And then all of a sudden I thought Dance for Hope. Like in my head, I saw the name. I looked it up online and it wasn't taken. And I said, that's it. I said, that is my organization. And it was like rapid fire, you know, and I just, within the next couple months, I was, you know, obviously like trying to go through the process of becoming a nonprofit. But like that, it would not have happened without Mindleaps. It never, you know, I fully understood how I could use my platform, how I could use my voice, my education, and my privilege to give back to this community. And once I realized that, like, the rest was history. And I'm so excited. Dance for Hope has been going on. I founded it in 2019, in January 2019. So it was only about a couple months after.
6-month turnaround. That's
yeah. And yeah, so obviously, like, transitioning programming online, as you know, is a challenge, but we've been trying to do that and trying to start trying to help these underserved youth as much as we can. And especially now more than ever, children need connection. They need people to talk to. They need their friends. They need community. And that's what Dance for Hope is trying to do, trying to just build community through the arts.
Like what you say is just so perfect, and what we've seen, I think, throughout the Mindleaps family, not even our kids, even our staff and ourselves, is that the people need connection. And it's not an acceptable answer to just say, oh, it's lockdown or it's shut down or that's it. You can't wait. Like you can't tell kids that. They're not going to wait.
Right.
And any organization like what you're doing with Dance for Hope that can really not let that easy answer be the acceptable answer and can fight through to find a way to those kids to create that connection, I just think is so important right now. And I'm just so happy to hear everything that you're doing. And I wish you like all of the momentum that it needs at like this particular moment.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hope we have to like pause before we go to the next question, because Zanny has told us like 4 times now, hello. Yes, Danny.
Hey, I
Hope
see
is
you.
gonna say hello to you.
I want to say, hey, Zanny, I see you. Hey, girl. I see Emmy's on here. Bashir. I see Asifa is here. Really, just I miss you guys. I love you guys.
Hope you are so well loved, because we even have a question from our audience, which doesn't frequently happen. So here we go. Keanu would like to know, how do you do it? How can you be so inspiring? Oh my goodness.
Oh
Tell us
no.
the secret. I love the question.
Oh my gosh. How do I do it? I surround myself with inspiring people like Rebecca Davis. That's how I do it.
Uh, which leads us, I think Keanu knew what we wanted to know, which is you're surrounded right here at this particular moment, Hope, by all of these young artists who are like hanging on to every word you say. What is your thinking now for young artists in our country, in the United States, but everywhere you've worked around the world? Even before COVID, it was never clear what you do to actually have a professional career in the arts. And now I think a lot of youth who've dedicated all these hours and years of training are kind of like left with this abyss in their thinking. What would you tell these young artists now?
I would say start getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, because it's uncomfortable, and I'm the first one to say that this has been uncomfortable. But what I'm learning, or what I'm trying to learn, is how do I adapt, right? So how do the first couple weeks of the lockdown, I was like, I have to teach my classes. So I started on Instagram, and then I didn't really love the platform to teach on. And then I went to Zoom. And I'm still continuing to learn new tricks and tools of how to make those kinds of classes as accessible to people when they are looking at a little screen. So, like, I've had to adapt and just try and like say yes, okay, like, and just go for it, and don't be fearful of the change, because change is so scary, but it's inevitable. And especially now, there's so much change. There's so much change. So how do we get comfortable with that? I mean, also, reach out to people that when you need help, really feel like it's okay to reach out to people and say, hey, I'm not doing okay. Like, I need help. Or, surround yourself with inspiring people. Like I said before, surround yourself with people that you can lean on in a time like this, because it's not normal. And as an artist, I mean, yeah, you can adapt. What if that doesn't work? You have to find other ways to stay inspired and stay motivated. And I think, for me, it is Dance for Hope. And that's the thing right now that's keeping me motivated and keeping me doing it, because I know that there's a lack of community, and a lack of arts, and there's so much that I feel like I can do. So that helps me a lot. So find it within yourself. What is that driving force? What's that passion? And use it as much as you can to try and cope with it.
I think, Hope, that's like such a great kind of image for us, is that, and that's why the answers are like so different and so unique. But if we can really challenge ourselves to find that thing, I mean, you shared with us exactly like how you found this motivation for the next stage of your life. I mean, then no matter how twisted the world gets, how people come in and now things go up and down, like, you still have that purpose. So it keeps you like pushing forward. And it's probably different for every single person listening to us right now, but the identification of that can be so powerful. And you speak about how that's really led you to exactly where you are today. It's really an interesting journey. Okay, sorry, Hope, but we've got more questions coming in from you. What is your advice to become a better dancer?
Ooh. I would say, only because when I was a young dancer, I took this for granted, but sleep.
Oh, I love that answer.
and a healthy diet, nutrition, and feed your body, fuel your body, not feed your body. fuel your body with the nutrients that it needs to last. I was one of those dancers that I was like, oh, I'm dancing for like 8 hours a day. Like I can have a burger and fries, you know what I mean? And yeah, I could probably burn off a burger and fries, but is that actually going to keep me going? You know, it's not. So just, I would say nutrients and sleep.
Well, I hope all the rice in Rwanda was enough nutrients for you to keep going.
Oh my God. And the avocados, just endless avocados.
Oh my goodness. All of our favorite people are joining right now, Hope. Welcome, Danny. Danny, I know you're, with all of the wonderful things you're doing right now, I'm sure you're not sleeping enough, so take Hope's advice. Adriana, who's just back from Morocco and also in the Mindleaps circle these days, can also learn a lot from these words of hope and fueling the future hope. So thank you. I promise it's the last question from the audience. I won't take up all of your day. There's a question about how do you form the connections with your communities with Dance4Hope?
So this is something that I talk a lot about with young artists that want to be on Broadway. And because it helped me get on Broadway was making connections and putting yourself in, you know, it's not enough to just put yourself in spaces where, you know, there are powerful people, but you have to make yourself known to those powerful people. So, you know, when you go take classes, you have to introduce yourself. You have to say, you know, look someone in the eyes and say, my name's Hope and thank you. You know, like you have to create those networks and those connections. That is like, you could be the best dancer in the world and not have a network and it won't really get you anywhere, especially in a place like New York. And you want to be someone that someone wants to work with, right? So you have to have like an endearing personality. And so by doing that, by introducing yourself and letting yourself be known in those kinds of spaces is like really important for you to further kind of your career. Sorry, what was the question? I feel like
you've answered it. How do you create connections with your communities for Dance4Hope when you're talking about how that network built?
Yeah, as far as the creating community for Dance4Hope, or you know, in general, creating communities, it's really finding the need. So discovering the need, the lack of, you know, resources. So I saw that there with the undocumented immigrant children, they're being, you know, they're in a shelter. They're physically in a space that is confined. So how do I allow those children a place where they can run, you know, a place where they can just like let it out? And so it's understanding and discovering like the need in that certain community or those certain people. And that I think is how you build a community.
I love this answer. I think there's so many pieces of what you've said, Hope, from, you know, the very beginning that like, you know, dance like quite literally like saves your life, but then the lessons that you've learned and the importance of building these connections and these networks, and then identifying kind of that purpose in life and allowing that to keep the motivation and to keep the learning going forward. I mean, I feel like we could kind of package this up into your future book, Hope.
Yeah, let's write it. I'm ready.
All of Team Uganda is also waiting for you to arrive in Africa.
I'm ready.
Next time you're going to Rwanda, Uganda seems to be already ready for you, Hope.
Shout out to Douglas is in Uganda, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Douglas.
He's done some marketing for you.
Yeah.
Hope, thank you so much for spending this time with us. I feel like I could talk to you for the next 4 hours, but I know you have many people that you're waiting to touch and inspire the way you have the Mindleaps community, the way you've touched myself, and I love the story you've shared with us today. And I can't wait to watch Dance4Hope flourish and partner with you and everything important that you're doing with these kids.
Thank you. Thank you for being a light in my life. I appreciate you, Rebecca, and Mindleaps.
Oh man, if it wasn't the virtual age, I would just be hugging you.
Hug. This is my hug.
Okay, before we both start crying, let's say goodbye to our guests.
Bye,
Thanks
everyone.
so much, everyone. Thanks, Hope.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.